Hey Phil, how you doing? Morning, Jack. Hope you're well. I'm doing all right. Doing all right. Just finished up a pipe. Haven't smoked one yet today. Um, been out visiting my mum, my dad. They're both at separate addresses at the moment, so I went to see them both, which was nice. Yeah. There's the pipe I finished today. A nice little bent brandy. Very nice grain. Nicely balanced pipe. It was going to be a Jekyll and Hyde, this one, but it was really a very, very clean piece of briar, and it just didn't warrant doing a Jekyll and Hyde effect on it. And yeah, so I just went completely smooth, polished up really nicely, worked out really well. Jeremy, how you doing? David Moss, welcome aboard. Not sure I've seen you on here before. Thank you for joining. 1820. It is. It's. I'm calling it a seasonal, a festive series, and it gets an extra stamp, which this is the second time I'm using it. It's got a little tree on there, an additional stamp. So this one's got quite a lot of stamps. I don't know if you can see that, but there's quite a lot of stamping on there. That's the tree. So that's festive season 2022. 3-star, London made, LCS Briars. Yeah, they're easy enough to come by, the stamps. 657 arrived at you in 9 days. Awesome. I have to be honest, this year compared to last year, the shipping is a lot better. People are getting their pipes in 5 days, 6 days, 8 days, 9 days. You know, it's not 14 days, 28 days. You know, thankfully, you know, people are getting them certainly within 2 weeks. I would even say that if somebody bought a pipe from me now, there's a reasonable chance of it getting there. The first seasonal pipe sold. That's this one, and that's going to go off. Well, it can't go off before Monday, but it'll be interesting to see if that actually gets there in time. It's going to the States. You know, Jeremy, sometimes it works. For the most part, it works. Sometimes it just doesn't work. Hey, wondering how you're doing, as you can see from Phil. I mean, I've had some absolute horror stories. I've had, as you may know, if you followed me a while back, I did an auction in aid of the family of Matches, John Harden, Matches 860. So we did some fundraising, and I had a bunch of carvers make pipes in the shape of the Friday Savinelli, and I think we ended up with 5 or 6 pipes, including one by myself that I made. Hey Alex, and so the final one was coming from America, from Dragon Briars, who's now unfortunately stopped making pipes, but he made one. It took 13 months to get here. The miracle, the crazy thing is not the 13 months, it's the fact that it actually got here still after 13 months. You know, you'd think if it's in the system for 13 months, it's just people would just give up. Even if they would find it after 10 or 12 months, they think, nobody's waiting for this one, chuck it in the bin. That's the miracle, that it actually got here after 13 months. Yeah, I mean, in the last couple of years, I've been doing sort of Coca-Cola coloured pipes in December. I've done 2 or 3 each year, and I just think it's nice to do a seasonal kind of theme. So I decided this year to get a stamp, and you can see that there, a little tree. I've got 2 cigars. Actually, I've got other cigars. I've got 2 cigars that I want to smoke, but I want to do videos of them. So I've got this Cohiba, which is a nice, I think it's a Siglo, that's got to be a Siglo 6 maybe? I don't know, it's quite a big chap. It's not the biggest, so I don't know if it's a 6 or a, it's not the torpedo one, you know, the number 2 shape. So I don't know if this is Siglo 5 or Siglo 6. I think it's a Siglo 6. It's a big cigar. And this is a Royal Corona from Bolivar, which I definitely want to do a video on. But these are the Robusto Romeo and Juliet, which came in just the other day, so I don't yet. I smoked one and it wasn't so great because it was pretty new. So what I do have is I brought a box, if I can find it. Here it is. This box, if I'm not mistaken, was sent to me by James Stumbo, if I'm not mistaken. And it looks like I've already smoked two of them, but again I would really like to do, so the ones that I smoked loads of is the Mi Amor, which I've probably done videos on years ago, but I don't think this is one of them. This one says on it, handmade, imported, La Aroma de Cuba, but it doesn't say which one it is. So I'm none the wiser on that one. This one is more Reserva. So I've smoked lots of the regular Mi Amor, but not the Reserva. And this one is Edición Especial. The band work on this, they're just stunning. Just look at the band there, they're gorgeous. From the US to the UK, I do find it's really expensive. I do find to pay to have stuff shipped here is really expensive. I went on just excuse me for a sec. I went on Boswell's website to try and pick up some stuff from them, but they also wanted silly money to do to ship stuff here. I never seem to get the time to do cigar videos these days. Anyway, I've got a Oliva Serie V Melanio. I assume this is either Perfecto or Figurado. I think it's Figurado. Tapered at both ends. It's kind of a special cigar, this, so you know, I kind of keep it usually for something special, but also the box press. But I'm gonna go for it. It's a bit of a long cigar. Excuse me. So this is, I think it's around the 6-inch box press. It's probably a 52 ring gauge, but it's difficult to say because of the fact that it's a square shape. Excuse me. Hey, Smarty Bob. The last time I did that, I was coming back from Switzerland. That time I went to Zurich, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, or 3 or 4 years ago. I had a couple of £100 worth of cigars, lots of singles and stuff like that. I picked up on my little tobacconist tour. I did quite a long video of that. If you have a look at through my channel, if you search Zurich on my channel, you'll come across it. Some really nice tobacconists. I'd love to go back actually. Excuse me. My wife keeps threatening to take me to Denmark because I've said so many times that I want to go out to the Danish pipe shop, possibly meet some of the pipe makers, maybe Tom Eltime, these kind of guys. So far it hasn't come to be. But I would like to go back to Zurich. Some really nice cigar shops there. When you're cutting the head of a tapered cigar, cut it on a slant. When you're cutting a regular cigar, you cut it straight if you're doing a straight cut as opposed to a punch or a V cut. But if you're doing a straight cut, you do it straight across. And the idea of that is to get as much of a footprint, of an open footprint, so that you've got as much throughput of smoke as possible. So when you've got a tapered head, a tapered cap, so if you cut it straight in a way where you don't want it to cut the cap and start unraveling the wrapper, it's going to be quite narrow because it's tapered. Cut it at an angle, you get more throughput that way. Oh, must have been a bit of loose tobacco there. Caught me right at the back in my mouth. Ships from the US with a military rate. That's cool. Jeremy says ex-military and that doesn't exist. Ooh. Fight, 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 fight. Changing my desk around again. This kind of orientation gives me the most room. I'm using a different pipe rest for the pipes that I've smoked recently. Interesting little carved, don't remember where I picked this up. I think somebody sent it to me. I honestly don't recall. But it's a nice little stand. I like to change things around every so often to refresh the way things look here on videos and in pictures and things like that. I've been smoking this pipe. If you remember, this is the one where I did my first splice on the shank, and I wasn't happy with the result, so I kept it for myself. It's a really, really nice pipe. A lovely bit of ebonite there on the shank. A nice pastel coloured, like a terracotta coloured ebonite stem. And a really nicely grained pipe. I call this like my bitten off. It looks like it's had a chunk bitten off, like an acorn or that kind of thing. One side looks really nice. Turn it around and it's had a whole chunk bitten out of it. It's an interesting pipe. It's a small bowl, so it's nice for a quick smoke, especially when I'm working. I generally don't smoke that much when I'm working, when I'm making a pipe. So I tend to have a coffee in the morning, smoke a pipe, and then get on with some work. And maybe when I have a break after a couple of hours, I'll have another smoke. So it's really a good size for that. A lot of my pipes now are on the smaller side, and if it's got a bigger bowl, I tend to put less in it. This one is also one of my newish pipes. It's Canadian. But it's got a tapered bowl, so the bowl is not that big either, but another gorgeous pipe. This one's getting smoked a lot, the Rosebud. It's had a lot of work already. It's quite blackened and got quite a cake going on in there. A lovely, lovely pipe. Hey Ethan, how you doing? Haven't seen you in ages. I smoked this one on Friday, I think. Haven't smoked this in a long, long time. This is an Ascorti 1997 Christmas pipe. Beautiful pipe. Part rusticated, part smooth. It's got this kind of waistband, or not waistband, but just a band going along the back of the bowl all the way underneath, right up to the shank cap. It's got a silver godette on there, square shank. Typical Italian style rustication, like a Sea Rock style rustication. Really nice pipe. Oh, well, Ethan, thank you very much. Your comments or no comments, I appreciate you popping in. There is a book which I actually want to read again. I got this as a gift from Mike Briar Blues. Oh, I've got a real tickle up my nose. Let's see if we can find it. I'm not sure if I've got it here. No, I don't have it here. It's I've actually got myself in my new cupboards. I've got a shelf dedicated to Tobackiana books and things like that. Fuentes, Arturo Fuentes Grand Reserva, nice. Great stories and good times, which reminds me of the channel. Thank you, David. So this book was a book about, it's called A Traveling to, I can't remember what it's called. Is it a traveling pipeman or a traveling tobacconist? I can't remember, something like that. But essentially it's about the travels of Herman Lane, and how he used to go around the world on some really precarious trips to find the best orientals and varietals of tobaccos. And quite a yellow-paged old sort of book. It's a small little book. I read it and it was very, very interesting. I read it very quickly. It's not a big book. And later on, I was looking at the book and I looked inside, and I realised that it's been signed by Herman Lane. I'm not sure that Mike even realised it, but I mentioned it to him. I can't remember what he said, whether he did or didn't realise it. I wish I had the book in front of me. I'm not sure where it is now. But I thought that's really cool. Herman Lane, one of the stalwarts of the pipe industry, taking on, first of all, the tobaccos, and then taking on Chariton, and really spreading the Chariton name in the US. And really, I think he's one of the pioneers of the pipe industry, if you like. John Aylesbury, Sir John's Flake. No, I haven't tried that, Ethan. I do have a tin of tobacco. I'm not sure if it's here or if it's outside, which I bought a pipe from Germany a while ago, and the guy just sent me a tin of tobacco and some filters and a pipe stand. You don't usually get that kind of thing on eBay. You get it when you do pipe trades and stuff like that, tobacco trades on the YTPC, but you don't expect it when you just buy a pipe from the seller on eBay. And this tobacco is clearly very aged because it's completely bulged. I'm not sure if I've got it here or not. No, I don't have it here. I'm not sure where it is. I do have quite a bit of aged tobacco in this drawer, which was just lying around when I was sorting out the office. I'll show you some of them. I haven't got all of them, but some of them. There's an old painted tin, McBaron's Scottish mixture Scottish blend. This is going to be from around the 70s, something like that. I've got an old Borkum Riff whiskey, flavoured with bourbon whiskey for exquisite taste. The chances of me ever smoking this is next to zero, but I just like it. It's a nice bit of memorabilia, nice bit of pipe history. Another painted McBaron Club Blend roll cut. I would imagine that this is going to be something similar to Dark Twist or something like that. An old tin of Orlick Golden Sliced, and this one has got Virginia and Birdie, as opposed to nowadays where it's Virginia and Perique. So I think that's around the turn of the century. Stockton. I don't think I've ever had this. This is from 2011. That's a very old painted tin of McBaron Dark Twist. Where is it made? I don't know. I don't know if anybody could tell from that tax seal the age of it. A lot of these you've seen before. This is an old cutter tin of half and half, and this is apparently from the 50s, so that's about 70 years old. Yeah, so that's interesting. I would like to try the current Scottish mixture. I've never tried it. Well, I might actually have tried it right in the beginning, like 6-7 years ago. I'm sorry to hear that, Mark. I wish you better. Speedy recovery. I might have tried it right at the beginning, but couldn't tolerate the tongue bite, so I probably never tried it again. But I would like to try it again. It's a Scottish mixture. It's such a storied blend. It's got such a huge history, and it's a favourite tobacco with many people. Yeah, well, I wouldn't try the Garth Hogarth one either, to be honest with you. I stay away from a lot of the Garth Hogarth stuff because even if it's not officially a Lakeland, a lot of their stuff still has a hint of Lakeland because it's made in the same factory. Yeah, I'm still not 100% clear on Samuel Garth Hogarth, if it's actually made in the same place nowadays or not. I mean, the companies are combined now. But it was always a family. It was just a family rift at some point, I think. $17.92. Well, you either love it or hate it. From what I've seen people still say about it. Having a lot of trouble with my hands. They're cracking up very badly. I've been putting a lot of cream on them to try and soften them up a bit. This evening I put loads and loads of cream on and then put some surgical gloves on top of it to hold the moisture in. I think it helps. I'm going to do the same overnight, I think, again. Really badly cracked and sort of bleeding from the cracks. Tonkin bean. A lot of people say it has a vanilla flavour. Anyway, as I was saying earlier on, I wanted to make an order at Boswell's. I sent them an email to ask them, what they put on their packaging these days, because in the old days they used to put on hobby supplies or whatever it was, but now they declare it accurately. And I think some people are still getting stuff through. I think, Mark, you said you did an order and it came through okay. Hey Andrew, how you doing? Samuel Garth Navy Flake. I've not been a fan of the Samuel Garth Virginia so much. I mean, a lot of people absolutely love it. The only one I really like is Full Virginia Flake. Although I've not really invested myself in any of them. Sometimes you try something, you don't particularly like it, come back to it and really invest yourself in it, smoke it regularly, and you really come to love it. I've not really done that with Samuel Garth stuff. Obviously, I'm kind of pretty much invested in Oleg Golden Sliced at the moment. I'm enjoying Erinmore Flake, and I haven't done a top 10 tobaccos this year because I haven't really got a top 10. I might do a top 5, but it's really simple for me, and it's Oleg Golden Sliced, Vanilla Roll Cake, Northwoods, Erinmore Flake, and then after that it's a toss-up between 1820 Flake, Special Latakia Flake, sometimes some Old Dominion, which I do enjoy. Over a pipe, how you doing, Martin? How you doing, Sed? A chocolate flake as compared to Bob's chocolate, is that what you're saying, Phil? I must be honest that the one of them, I forget which one, but one of them has a bit of a Latakia kind of twinge to it. So I used to like it when I first discovered Bob's chocolate. I did smoke a fair bit of it. I enjoyed it, and I enjoyed the fact that it had a little bit of Latakia in it, and it was kind of a bit of a mixture with quite a variety of flavors in there, and that's why I enjoyed it. But after a while, the Lakelands came through more and more to my palate, and I just couldn't get on with it. I really have this, strong dislike for anything Lakeland. Hey Glenn, Smoking Dog sells lots of cigars. Is that a website, Smoking Dog? They're on social media. I haven't seen them, I must be honest. Unless you're talking about Bulldog cigars. Are you talking about Bulldog cigars? There's a guy in America called, he has a Facebook page, Bulldog Cigars. And I used to buy a lot of cigars, a lot of New World cigars from him. But his shipping has gone something stupid. For a box of 20 cigars, I think he wanted something like either $50 or $70 to ship it. I said thanks, but no thanks. A nice guy, and I really did buy a lot of cigars from him. if you're in the States, I mean, I don't know how well it compares to buying it retail in the States, because the prices of cigars there are really good compared to here. So I'm not sure if his stuff is much cheaper, but he's got a real nice selection, and he does a lot of sampler packs. Has a lot of freebies as well, lots of ashtrays, branded ashtrays and that kind of thing. Lighters he gives away, and sometimes just he sells them back really cheap together with a box of cigars. But the last time I wanted to get some Undercrowns, and the shipping was just too much. I think the cigars themselves weren't too bad. Used to be cheaper, but they're still not too bad. I think it was $170 for 24 Undercrowns. It's a completely different topic, chaps. What did you think of the whole Harry and Meghan situation? Any of you got an opinion, or had enough talking about it and no interest? I just seen your message, Phil. What is Mikata? I don't know what that is, man. Mikata button at the Mortis. You'd have to enlighten me. No interest, Glenn. I don't blame you. Good response. Jermyn Street. I have done some videos at Jermyn Street before, but I don't get out these days. I'm a bit. Tim calls himself Hermit Piper. Maybe I should call myself Hermit Piper, because I hardly get out. On the odd occasion that I do a photo job, but other than that, I'm not reclusive. Maybe I am a bit, but I'm just housebound, because this is where my work is now, where my workshop is. So I don't get out that much. I don't have an excuse unless I'm meeting somebody. If there's somebody from the YTPC who happens to be visiting, or if there's some kind of meetup, then I'll go. But the club no longer meets there. The Pipe Club of London no longer meets at JJ Fox's, which is round the corner from Jermyn Street. So it's quite rare for me to go into town these days. But when I do go, I do like it to go. But it means, if I go, it means I'm taking time out from working in the workshop. And whilst that's a good thing to do from time to time, I'm happy in my own company. I enjoy being in my workshop. Even if I'm not making a pipe, I like sitting in here. I might read, I might watch something or listen to something, enjoy a pipe. I'm fortunate in that I'm able to smoke in here. Very fortunate. I know that's very fortunate. A lot of people can't smoke at home. But I can't smoke anywhere else in the house. I can only smoke in this room. So I'm really quite happy in here. And my wife always wants to go out on the weekends. Some days she always wants to go out. And I'm quite happy to just ferret around here and just do nothing. And so when I do go out, it's quite an effort. And she does appreciate it. But and I usually enjoy it as well once I do go. I guess it's a bit of laziness as well, just happy to sit and vegetate. It's easier than running around. Yeah, Phil, it's a bit easier for you because you're your own boss. You can decide what to do and when to do it. Which I suppose I do to an extent, but there's always somebody else wanting me to do something else. You know, kids, wife, I've got to go help my parents and all of that kind of stuff. Which is all good, I'm not complaining. You know, that's family life. And that's a blessing. As I say, I'm not complaining, but thank you, Glenn. Happy Hanukkah to you too, and to everybody else out there. Yeah, for sure, Phil. I mean, that's there's advantages and disadvantages, I guess, to being on your own. Companionship is important too. And you know, once people get older, then it's really important. For my dad, for instance, for my parents, very, very important. My dad has got very little mobility these days. He can just about hobble to the bathroom with a walker, with a Zimmer frame. And he has a carer during the day. But he's, I think his biggest stress, his biggest cause for anxiety is the fact that he's lost his freedom. Not because he can't do anything else if he wanted to, he just can't physically do it. And that kind of, he's almost in his own prison. And that's really hard for him, really, really hard for him. My internet seems to be fine tonight. Picture seems to be sharp. I mean, I'm watching it as well on my big screen here. Yeah, it is as well for my dad as well. When he gets an infection, which he does get fairly reasonably often, when he gets an infection, it also is he gets confused. So the first sign when we think that he might have an infection is because he starts to talk gibberish sometimes. And so once he starts to do that, we take him to the doc, get a blood test, and pretty much every time he's got an infection. For some reason, it knocks the sense completely off. I don't know why, but it's just part of physiology. I don't know. Especially at night. I mean, I remember one time I was with him, I stayed with him overnight in hospital a while back, and he would wake up and just talk absolute gibberish, which is, you know, it's disconcerting. Not for him, it's not disconcerting for him because he's not aware of that he's talking gibberish. To him, it makes perfect sense. But for the people around him, it's very unnerving. Yeah, getting old is more than a challenge. I was watching. You're right. It's one way of putting it. Well, you won't be bothered about it, Phil, will you? So there's nothing really to be concerned about. At least not on a dimension that we can understand anyway. I was watching Mike Briar Blues. He put out a video talking about getting old. He's had to get rid of some pipes because he can't buff them anymore. His ebonite pipes, his pipes with ebonite stems or brindle stems, because he can't buff them anymore. He's got no strength in his thumbs, and that's heavy going. That's tough. Yeah, especially if it's a workshop, David, that you've kind of developed over time and it's your comfortable zone. My only, I would say, downside, it's a plus and a minus. It's a plus, I'm talking about the size of this workshop being very, very small. It's a plus because everything's to hand. It's really close. I can literally stand on one spot and make a pipe almost. You know, I've got access to all of my machines within 1 meter, literally. But the downside of it is that I've got very little storage space. Everything is jam-packed on the shelves, and however much I clean up the surfaces, within a day it's completely chock-a-block. It was like that out in the garage. The garage was also too small, but this is even smaller. And I've left a lot of stuff out there, so that's why it's not as cramped as it could be. Yeah, well, Phil, you could fit one of your machines in this room. Your big lathe. Old pipe smokers go where everybody else goes. Down in the ground, basically. What happens after that? Well, that depends on your belief system, I guess. Well, it doesn't depend on your belief system. What happens, happens. So either one particular religion is right, or they're all wrong. But whatever happens, happens regardless of your religion. I think it would be really unusual, very weird, if what happened to each person after death depended on what they believed during their life. That would be really interesting. Forgetfulness, Phil, it plagues me terribly. Literally, I find myself doing stupid things, and it does bother me. Because I'm fully cognizant now, and so when I do something stupid, I worry that this is the beginning of my sort of downhill slide mentally, and it worries me. But and I try to do things to exercise myself mentally as well to prevent that. But I sometimes, I one time was making a coffee, took the milk out of the fridge, made the coffee, picked up the kettle and put it in the fridge and left the milk out. I mean, that's, you know. I mean, you know, when you're looking for something and it's right in front of you, I think that's, you know, a lot of people have that, even very young people. But doing something stupid, like almost absent-mindedly, it's like your brain goes to sleep for a second and you totally don't focus on what you're doing, and you become an automaton and you just do something automatically. And because you're not focusing on it, you just do something and do it wrong. And that's disconcerting for sure. Hey David, how you doing? I mean, I'm not old, I'm 53, and I don't think that I should be having that kind of situation at my age, but I guess it's got to start somewhere. But hopefully it won't be worse than that for a long time. Oh man, you don't want to be brushing your teeth with a razor. Yes, you would scare. That would scare the Jesus out of me, and that would be something. Excuse me. I've got to get my menorah polished. You know, the candelabra that we light on the festival of Hanukkah. My daughter's been given the job to polish it, but she's asked me, "Can I use your buffer?" Last year, it was so badly tarnished. Yes, Alex, how old are you? It was so badly tarnished that it would have taken forever. So I took the menorah outside on my buffing wheel. I've got one buffing mop which is dedicated to metalwork because it gets black. So I used that, and it came up a treat. It was gleaming, but you have to be careful not to knock it because silver it dents very quickly. So she's asked me, can she use my buffer? And I said, no, polish it. I'm not too happy with her using it anyway. I told her it's dangerous. So if she doesn't do it, then I'm going to end up having to do it. And we've got to use it tomorrow evening, so it's got to be done tomorrow. $50. Well, so far, I mean, people, if you listen to comedians, they tell you once you hit 50, that's when you visit the doctor, and the doctor takes an unusual interest in parts of your anatomy that nobody's ever taken an interest in before. So far, it hasn't happened, thankfully. I'm dreading the day when it does. Cereal box in the refrigerator, not long ago. I've been absent-minded my whole life. Hey, hillbilly. Your menorah doesn't tarnish. Well, what's it made from? My one is. Hey, Josh, how you doing, man? Exactly. David. My wife bought me my menorah quite a number of years ago now. One of my birthdays, I don't remember which, and it's silver, so it tarnishes quite badly. Yeah. How's it going, Josh? You still busy? It's a good job I got on with doing this workshop, because I was toying with the idea of taking you up on your offer at the time of mapping out this room with your CAD software, but you said you were so busy. I think it would have ended up looking like this anyway, to be honest. It's such a limited space. Always busy, that's good. Yeah, I know. I didn't want to bother you, to be honest. And what would have bothered me even more is if I would have bothered you, you'd have done it, and then I wouldn't have followed it. That would have bothered me even more. That would have wasted your time. So I figured that I just fit things in as best I could, and no doubt it'll still evolve over time. What I would have liked is if I'd have had more woodwork experience. I have very little experience with woodworking. I mean, I can put stuff together and whatever, but skilled woodwork, to really make a nice workshop with everything having its own place. For instance, as an example, and you can see how I've got all the boxes piled in the corner, empty boxes, because I've got nowhere to put them. But even this little thing here, which I built to hold the shaping wheel, it does the job, it's fine. But you look at some other people's workshops who have got woodworking skills, and they make beautiful structures out of wood, and it just looks so much better. But it does the job, and I'm absolutely fine with it. I'm happy with it. But it's just, I don't know. Maybe if I would have taken the time, I would have done it. I mean, it's not rocket science, but I think once I decided to move, I had to get it done as quickly as possible. As it was, it took me a couple of weeks. But if I would have taken longer, I couldn't afford to have the workshop down for so long. Well, I must be honest, my wife has been having a go at me about my beard. I've kind of let it go. And you can see it's overgrown. A bit on the bushy side at the moment. It needs to be trimmed. So she's been having a go at me about that. Josh. Yeah, that's what I told her. It keeps me warm. But she wasn't having any of it. Thankfully, she doesn't do my beard. I do it myself. Otherwise, she'd whip it off. I think I'm in Josh's camp, actually, when I look in the mirror. Definitely. Especially when I didn't realise it the other day. I was walking around with brown stain from my ear down my cheek without realising it. I was wearing gloves when I was staining a pipe. It was actually the last pipe that I just made, and I must have got some of the stain on the gloves and then probably scratched my ear or something. So I was walking around with this big patch of brown stain on the side of my face without realising it. Till my kids saw it and they told me that. Well, the good thing is I don't use a razor. It's a religious thing that we don't use a razor. So I use a beard trimmer and a shaver. So if she uses one of those, I'll hear it. So I suppose there's an advantage there. Oh yeah, I do that often, Phil. Another of those things we forget. That's another whole story. Toilet visits. I don't think we should get into that here, but that's another whole story. After you're 50, toilet visits get interesting. Hi, Travis. Um, Originally, it was 50-50 when I first did that blend. 50-50. I've then sort of, because Virginia Woods now is no longer, so it's much, I usually do about 70-30 or 60-40 in favour of Orley Golden Sliced, and the Virginia Woods has enough of a richness to it that it still gives you the same flavour. I've been smoking that as well now. I haven't smoked it in ages, but I opened the jar recently and I've been smoking that, and it's really delicious. If you don't have enough Virginia Woods, you can always order Sutliff's RC1 something or other. $515, there you go. It's supposed to be a match for Virginia Woods. It's okay. It's not great, but it's okay. Oh, nice, lucky you. Well, that's an excellent way to make it go further. I would say that if you can, I would mix at least 150 grams of Orley Golden Sliced with it, but you could even go as far as 200 grams, and that will make it go a long way. You end up with 300 grams of tobacco, and it will taste great. At the moment, it's extremely mild. I usually have the Robusto size or the Corona, the half Corona, and they seem to be more flavorful. This one, and I've had it in my humidor for quite some time, and I thought it would be more mellow and smooth. It's okay, but it's not on the same. It's not as nice as the smaller ones. I find the smaller ones, the flavor is more concentrated. With this one, I don't know if it's the box press or the length of it. It is quite spongy, but that's one thing which and I don't know if it's just me. You guys, you cigar smokers out there, can comment. With Cuban cigars, they're blended and rolled to give you that 3-stage journey. Most of them, you'll get that evolution of the cigar. I don't get that with New World cigars. And when I'm smoking this one, to me, it's almost like they've taken the same amount of tobacco that's in a Robusto and just spread it over a bigger cigar. I know that's not true. I'm sure there's more tobacco in here, but it feels that way because it feels almost a bit diluted. Gillespie pipe? Who are we talking about? Who's Gillespie pipe? You're talking about Phil's? What's a Gillespie pipe anyway? Oh, is that right, Ethan? Okay. Because I have to be honest, I've never really seen evolutionary stages in New Worlds. Not often, anyway. Whose Gillespie pipe are you talking about, Andrew? I didn't know you were into cigars, Phil. Do you often smoke cigars? Oh, sorry to hear that, David. Wish you a speedy recovery. Yeah, we were asking Andrew, whose Gillespie pipe are you talking about? Oh, the Dizzy Gillespie pipe. Oh, right. Yeah, that was a cool pipe, that. Were they saying good things or bad things about it? I'll have to watch it now. Oh, nice. Was he the guy who bought it? Was he the guy that ordered it? I don't remember him ordering a pipe from me. It would be nice to see that pipe being smoked, actually. I'd have to look up and see who bought that. It was a really challenging pipe to make, I have to tell you. A really interesting shape, unusual shape. And it was from very, very unclear pictures as well. It took me 2 attempts to make that pipe as well. Not through the fact that I couldn't make the shape, but because there was issues with the pipe that I had to just rethink it. And at the time, the customer wasn't happy with it, and I said no problem. Made it again, and he was very happy with it, but I don't remember the name of the guy. I'd have to look it up. I might have the pictures here though of the pipe that he sent me. Not sure. No. I've got a folder on my computer where I just keep pictures of pipes that I like the look of. You know, stuff that inspire me sometimes to make shapes, different shapes. No, it's not on here. I don't know where it is. Oscar, how you doing? It was a square Dublin. It was a panel Dublin, but had a slight forward cant on it, and it was curved. It was a really interesting shape. I'm just going to search my channel and see if I can find it, the video of it. No, I don't know where it is. I don't know the pipe number. Let's have a look what Phil sent. Yeah, I mean I made one similar to that. Brannigan Pipes, never heard of it. I think panel pipes are actually really hard to make well. To make the panels equal and symmetrical, I think it's really hard. I think a lot of people stay away from them for that reason. But people stay away from them in terms of customers, you're saying. I don't know. I don't get commissions that much for panel pipes, so I suppose that means something. Alright, I found the guy that ordered it from me. Let's see if I can find pictures. March the 8th. Actually, here you can see, it's easier to see it this way. It's before it was stained. That's how it looked before staining. That was quite a deep, rich stain to it. That was the other side. And the pictures that he sent me to work from, let me find that. This was the first one that I did. You can see there's a very clear difference, which he wasn't happy with, which was fair enough. Yeah, this was one of the pictures he sent me. That was another one, which was obviously very hard to zoom into because it became very grainy when zooming in. So you can see that it was quite challenging to work from that. Yeah, the first pipe after COVID was good. I remember that. I mean, it's going back nearly 3 years now. I got mine in March 2020. I got COVID. and it knocked me out for 3 weeks. I remember at the time. And that was right at the beginning, and I remember at the time I had stopped smoking a couple of weeks before that, and I thought, if I was better not take a chance, I better keep my chest clear and all of that in case I do get it. And the timing was really right, because although some people said that smoking was good because it kept it away, but I don't know. There was some research done about that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, thankfully it didn't go to my chest at all. It was in my head. I had it in my head and my legs, and I think I'm still suffering with my legs from it. I had just I had headaches, and my head was tingly, and it was just like I couldn't bear noise and light and that kind of thing for about 3 weeks, and the loss of taste and smell lasted for, I don't know, maybe 6 weeks or 2 months, something like that. And my muscles, I had a lot of muscle pain, muscle ache, my legs especially, from my waist down. I had a lot of almost muscle atrophy, almost, and it's still, when I go for a walk, if I walk up an incline, it's not a question of being out of breath or anything like that. Just the muscles in my legs start to hurt, and they start to just, become weaker and weaker, and I have to stop. I don't know if it was the actual virus itself or the fact that I was pretty much sat prone on the couch for 3 weeks. I was there almost 24 hours a day. I didn't sleep in my bed. I slept downstairs on the couch, and I literally pretty much sat in the same spot for 3 weeks. It could be that's what did it. I don't know. Where is it? 1:16. Well, gentlemen, I think we can call it a day. I'll start doing my thank yous. If anybody else wants to talk about any other subject, then now's the time to mention it. In the meantime, I'll say my thank yous. Thank you, Smiley Bob. Thank you, Rocking Steady. Thank you, Phil. Thank you, Oscar. Thank you, Andrew. Piper said. David Morse, Travis F, Alex, AMR Bryars, Josh Pipe Crump, Glenn, Hillbilly. I think that's everybody, and everybody else. Thank you very much for joining. Enjoy the rest of your week. If you're celebrating Hanukkah, enjoy your festival. And if you're celebrating Christmas in a few days, enjoy that. And hopefully we'll be knocking out a few more pipes this week still. I wanted to try and get to 700, but I'm not sure that I will by the end of the year. What are we today? The 17th, the 18th now. So what have we got left? 10, 12, 13 days. And we're up to 683. So that's 17 pipes. Yeah, it probably won't. I'll probably just miss it. No worries. I might do a raffle at some point. I've still got the pipe set which hasn't sold yet. I've reduced the price, it hasn't sold. There's a few pipes on there on the website at the moment which haven't sold, so I might do a raffle and see if I can sell it that way. Alright folks, thanks very much. Have a great weekend. Catch you on the next one.